Welcome back to Cryptos Are Us. I am George. We're all George. So, happy Friday. Today, let's talk about Bitcoin. Massive pumps. Is it coming to Bitcoin and these crypto projects? Let's talk about this and everything else that's going on in the world today. Let's do it. Welcome, guys. The market bell has just rung. I still don't have my market bell, but that's okay. That's okay. Today we have some red. We have some green. We're a little bit lower than yesterday, slightly lower. But let's look at some macro stuff first. I haven't done macro stuff in a while, but the most important macro news of the day is a lot of banks are not doing well in the U.S. JP Morgan, even though they made some profit, but you could see they lost about $2.9 billion in fees going to regional bank rescues. That was a big thing in 2023. Remember all the regional banks that started collapsing one after another? And guess what happened? The Fed stepped in and asked JP Morgan and others to bail them out, to give them essentially free money. And now it's costing these giant banks like JP Morgan, who still, well, I mean, at least Jamie Dimon, who still does not like Bitcoin, even though they are like this with BlackRock. So JP Morgan lost a boatload to these regional bank rescues. Bank of America just lost a boatload of money because of regulatory charge. And Citigroup lost a boatload due to a litany of charges. All the major banks are not doing so well right now. Okay. And that, of course, leads to Bitcoin. All the shenanigans that we talked about, I talked about endlessly in 2023, all the bank shenanigans. Of course, we have inflation shenanigans and we got overprinting shenanigans. I mean, there's so much shenanigans. That's why so many are turning to Bitcoin, right? And that's why we're in Bitcoin. And as for Bitcoin, ETF volume, yesterday I already reported it, 4.6 billion in volume, first day of trading. Today is the second day, and it's a Friday. Okay, so I don't know how volumes will come in, but last night I showed you the most important thing to realize. You may be wondering why Bitcoin is not pumping to 50,000 yet. Well, I showed you guys one chart. I don't have it anymore. That showed that $7 billion worth of Bitcoin came out of Coinbase OTC. 7 billion. Where did they go? Straight to Larry Fink's wallet? No, probably not. But more likely, all the ETF providers, they ran out of Bitcoin. They need to replenish. And who do they go to? They go to Coinbase, right? But Coinbase, I also figured out last night, there's only so much Bitcoin they could sell. Approximately $44 billion worth. But if you subtract off 7 billion, you're only in, 37 billion now, right? So they can only do that so much until they run out and they have no more to sell, right? And then what are these ETF issuers going to do when they need to replenish more Bitcoin? Spot. That's when they have to buy spot, right? So volume yesterday, fantastic. Today, if it continues, and then of course, today's just the second day of trading. We got a whole year ahead of us, a whole year for volume to pick up. And that's when we'll see billions. Of course, we saw billions already, but tens of billions, hundreds of billions, trillions flow into this space. And it'll be fantastic, not only for Bitcoin, but for an entire crypto space. I mean, here's a breakdown of volume yesterday versus some other ETFs, SPY, QQQ. Actually, Bitcoin SPY ETFs did quite well in terms of volume of shares, number of trades, notional traded. I don't know what that means, but yeah, for first day, it was pretty darn good. Okay, again, let's keep in mind, There was only 1 day of trading. Today's the second day, and we're only in the second week of 2024. We got an entire year, and we got the halving event coming up in just 3 months. There's a lot of room left. If you look at, I showed this yesterday too, just to show you guys. Surprisingly, BlackRock didn't lead yesterday. It was actually Grayscale. And I think there's more people selling Grayscale than buying because you don't know what kind of volume this is. But we'll see. Over time, I do believe that BlackRock is going to lead the way. This is what Larry Fink wants. And then you're going to see Grayscale at probably 3 or 4. Fidelity's going to be up there and so forth, right? And, of course, besides Bitcoin ETFs, okay, there are many reasons why. I've mentioned I started a show with macro stuff. I mean, inflation is not going to go away. Inflation, even though supposedly it came down. I mean, yesterday we had an inflation report that showed inflation going back up again. Inflation will never truly go away. And inflation will keep robbing you of your buying power. So you need to hold on something, an asset that will out-appreciate inflation. And there's no better asset to do that than Bitcoin, right? But then, of course, there's other things coming up, other catalysts coming up, right? Like the halving event I just mentioned too. There's so many reasons why Bitcoin has a huge upside for the remainder of this year. So you guys just have to be patient, right? A lot of people are saying Grayscale is dumping. Grayscale is jumping ship. There's something to that. You know why? I'm going to do more research to it, but I'm glad you guys point that out. Grayscale purposely made their fee 1.5% versus everyone else. They're at like 0.2%, 0.25%, and Grayscale made theirs 1.5%, as if they did it on purpose so that no one would buy their new GBTC. Right? It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. And people are saying they're dumping. I'm going to have to do more research. Maybe Crypto Quant or someone else could actually detect if that's actually true. And also, I just mentioned the volume doesn't make sense. That they have such high number versus BlackRock and everyone else. And that could be the reason why Bitcoin is down a little bit if Grayscale is dumping all their Bitcoin. But regardless, the market will eat it up. The market will eat it up. And if you continue to DCA and HODL, you may one day find that you're up $3 billion in gains, just like Michael Saylor. That's not bad. That's not bad. Keep in mind, Saylor's not an OG. Saylor got in like 2020, okay? A lot of OGs like myself and others got in much, much earlier. But regardless, you didn't have to get into 2011 or 2013 to be up $3 billion. You just need to put in a lot of money and keep holding and DCing. That's it. Saylor does not, at least from what I've seen from his posted trades, he's not timing the top or bottom. He just continues to DCA randomly, right? And a lot of times the DCA is very high. And people pick on him. But he also DCA's low. And if you average it out, it doesn't matter. He's up $3 billion, okay? And that number is going to keep on climbing. Think about it. If Bitcoin goes up a 10x, within the next 2 cycles, he's going to be up $30 billion. And if it keeps on going, that number is going to keep on growing. And that's assuming he doesn't buy any more Bitcoin. But he will. He's going to buy up everything. Basically. All right, from a chart perspective, it's still looking good. We're trending up. I mean, there's no doubt about it. If you're looking at Bitcoin, you may be wondering, oh, it looks so bad right now. It looks so bad. Why do we fall? Why do we not continue upwards? But then, if you zoom out a little bit, I drew some lines. You guys love lines. You zoom out a little bit, you realize, well, Bitcoin's just been trending upwards since October. Upwards and upwards and upwards and upwards. And so, we're moving according to plan. There's a lot of red lines, a lot of resistances, a lot of supports, but ultimately we're just trending upwards, right? We just got to give it some time. SPY ETFs are here. Halving event is around the corner. More and more people FOMO into Bitcoin and crypto, right? It all adds up. It all adds up. The fundamentals of Bitcoin has never been better. And again, when in doubt, zoom out and you realize we're doing just fine and we are going to go much, much higher. And that's why you see $1 billion here, $1 billion there, $1 billion there being minted everywhere. And where do you think these billions are going? Well, probably a lot of it to Bitcoin and a lot of it into other projects too, right? So today, actually, you got a lot of other projects leading the way besides Bitcoin. But the entire sector is going to be trending up in a big way. Massive pumps will be coming. We have experienced some massive pumps just a few days ago, and it will come. And it'll wipe out any memories of staleness or consolidation or anything like that. All right. So what are some of these other projects? There's a few notable ones to talk about this morning. I did see this. Hong Kong has this big list, like the official list, I guess, in Hong Kong that states what can be traded, what can't be, and what's good and what's not. And in their top 5 index lists, they decided to kick out XRP and throw in Solana. It makes sense because Solana has a higher market cap than XRP. But I don't know if there's some other reason for that. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. But XRP was kicked out. Solana itself, taking a breather. Obviously, it's still holding a little bit below 100. Taking a breather. Its metrics are still awesome. Doing more NFT sales than basically everyone else in the past 24 hours. That's fantastic. And also, one meme coin is doing very, very well. Myro just continues to go up and up and up. Another 23%. Now they're up to 121 million. So yeah, you got memes that are still doing very, very well on top of Solana. We have WIF that had a huge day yesterday. We have Bonk that's still around $1 billion market cap. And Myro now is gaining some strength. Okay, so, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of memes coming out all the time. Okay, you got to be careful with it. But it seems like Myro looks like they have some new trending bot that's on their Telegram. And then they also added the Buy Myro on their website. So they're trying to add a little utility. But overall, memes, they're just memes, okay? They're supposed to be fun. A little degenning wouldn't hurt, right? I guess. So it's up to you. But obviously, be careful because they could dump down very fast. But besides Myro and memes, what else? I talked about Ethereum and their Dencun. I don't know. I think it's Dencun upgrade, right? I just talked about last night. And this upgrade is coming. This one is for testing, but then afterwards they'll go apply it. But how does this help? This actually helps the L2s. That helps the L2s in a big way. It makes things a lot cheaper and faster to transact. And couldn't help notice, but today you got the L2s. Optimism up 8% today. Arbitrum up 4% today. Okay, so the L2s are responding. I just said it last night. Pay attention to the L2s because after this upgrade, it actually helps the L2s a lot more than it helps Ethereum itself. So pay attention because these guys are starting to rip. Optimism is already so big at $4 billion. $1 billion higher than Arbitrum, but you don't want to miss out on Arbitrum either. They have different plans now. Arbitrum is trying to introduce L3s, and Optimism is trying to create a super chain. So they are deviating. They're not staying on the same path, right? And of course, Ethereum is gaining some love because of ETF hype. Now Larry Fink says he sees value in ETH ETFs, right? So this could be coming. And here's the thing. They have an application. The application deadline is in August. So we could actually see Ethereum spot ETFs in August, right? If Larry wants it done, it's probably going to be done, right? That's if Gary is still around. If Gary's still, I mean, I don't know. He might be on his way out. But if he's around, then maybe Larry's go force it. If someone else comes in, I don't know, Larry probably could force it. So yeah, so there's this too. And then lastly, on top of Ethereum, I covered ENS yesterday. ENS is exploding. And you also have Blur that's exploding. Blur, which is NFT marketplace, now dominates with 80% of trading volume. I can't even believe that. Like, I still remember, and I still have my collection on OpenSea, right? But somehow now all the NFT guys just switched to Blur, and OpenSea does not have a token, right? So that's quite amazing. And because of this, of course, they're collecting their fees, and Blur is doing very, very well. Today, they're up 10%, 11%. For the week, they're up 28%. So Blur is another one within Ethereum to watch out for. A lot of these Ethereum dApps, right, are starting to gain a lot of attention. So Blur under $1 billion looks like it's still a steal if it commands 80% of the trading volume on top of Ethereum. There you go. There you go. All right. That's pretty much it right now. You got some red with Bitcoin, but do not fear. Do not fear. Bitcoin is going to continue forward. It does not care about volatility. It does not care about bad news or FUD or Gary Gensler. Okay, Bitcoin will continue forward. Maybe it's taking a little breather. That's quite okay. That just means you have more time to DCA before we hit 50,000 and before we hit 70,000 and before we hit $100,000. Just hold on DCA. All right, let's do some Q&A. All right, let's see if I missed something here. NMCT, people are so bearish after no pump for ETF. People forget gold ETF dropped 10 to 15%, trade sideways for a couple months before 500% pump nonstop. That's the thing. You know, sometimes things go our way, sometimes they don't. But ultimately, the strategy is the same, right? Nothing has changed. Had we pumped to 50K and beyond, we would have all loved it. But then again, we know that it probably would come down because there was just too much buying, too much FOMO, too much, you know, Bitcoin would have been overbought, right? Right now, we may be trending down a little bit, but again, when in doubt, zoom out. We haven't really trended down at all. We're just going according to plan, right? And if you think about it, this is fantastic because it allows Bitcoin to cool down. We didn't dump like a lot of people thought that we would have buy the rumor, sell the news event. We didn't have that. So Bitcoin just continues moving forward. And like I said, the best way to take advantage of the situation is just DCA more. You could DCA more while Bitcoin is low. We know 50K is right around the corner. I mean, it's a no-brainer. 50K is right around the corner. Not only that, 52K is right around the corner, right? So the people that have the most patience and understands that Bitcoin is a long-term game, and you don't even have to wait that long because I think we're going to do a 10x within the next 2 years. You just have to be patient. That's all. I wish I had a gold ETF chart. These people are, I've shown it before, but people are right. When gold ETF came out, it went like sideways a little bit, and then it started going up. It might be the same way until we hit the halving event. Maybe we slowly trend up toward the halving event and then explode afterwards. DQ reviews. What do you think about Melon Dog? I don't have any thoughts on Melon Dog. I have no idea what it is. I have no idea what it is. Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is a good look of gold when their ETF was introduced and Bitcoin. Of course, this is, you know, the gold chart stretched for like 100 years, okay? Bitcoin's chart is just like, you know, 10 years. So obviously, it looks like after that the ETF was introduced, it just started skyrocketing because that chart for gold is like 100 years, keep in mind. So it took a while before it started going up, but that's the trajectory Bitcoin's going. Lemon G says, if you're bearish, you don't deserve the gains. That's right. That's right. Ash says, nope, I'm determined to quit my job in June, so I better not have to wait 10 years. Well, I can't help you there. I can't help you there. I think Bitcoin is going to be a lot higher in June, but I don't know if it's enough for you to retire. In a sea of red today, although this is red versus our recent high, Ethereum is clinging on a little bit of green. But you got the L2s, you got, you know, like Optimism, Litto, Arbitrum, you know, the L2s that are doing really well today. Sui still doing well. FTX token. I don't know who's buying FTX token. I honestly don't know how this is still trading and people are still buying it. ENS is still doing well. Blur, I just covered, is doing well. ENS is on fire right now. Vitalik tweeted about them. So mostly ETH stuff today. Besides Myro. Myro's doing well. Can alts get more bearish? You know what? Here's the thing. Bitcoin dominance have been going down, guys. So I had a chart I was going to show, but I decided not to show it. But it shows a triple top for Bitcoin dominance. I don't place much emphasis on charting Bitcoin dominance. But, you know, according to triple top, dominance should be coming down, which means alts should be going up. But again, I place very little emphasis on charting dominance. Chit chat, thank you. Kiki asked, if I have 9K, where should I put it? Solana, ENS? No. They're not bad, but you don't go straight into them. You still want to follow, especially if you're new, 50, 25, 25. 50% in Bitcoin. So take that 9K, you could put 4.5K into Bitcoin, and then put 25% in the big caps, something like Solana. You could throw some ETH in there if you want, but I'm still very bullish on Solana. And then 25% in mid and small caps, like ENS, like Optimism, Arbitrum, Blur, Myro, whatever you want, right? So mix it up. Mix it up. Thoughts on threshold and render? I don't know anything about threshold. And render, I'm neutral on. Not bullish, not bearish. What do you think the I bet ETF could potentially reach in the next few years? I mean, if Bitcoin is going up, all right, so let's say Bitcoin ends this year at 100,000, right? That's like 2.5x. So IBDC shares will probably go up 2.5x. 2.5x is a lot. That's 250% right there. So it all depends on if Bitcoin goes up, right? If Bitcoin goes higher, those shares will go higher. But there's fees involved, so keep that in mind. So it's not going to be a direct correlation. It'll be close, very close, but not a direct correlation because these fund managers, they collect a fee. That's why they're offering them. Why did people say Cardano? It's because Jim Cramer one time said Cardano on air. Rocky, Brothers and Myro, thoughts? No thoughts. Until it pumps, it means nothing. You could say it's a brother, you could say it's a cousin, you could say it's dad. Until it pumps, it means nothing. Nelly, hi from Belgium. Will Sol have an ETF? And if not, what's the difference between Sol and Bitcoin? Well, there's a big difference between Sol and Bitcoin. And we'll still get ETF. I don't know. Someone like Van Eyck wants them to, but I don't think it's going to come anytime soon. And there's a big difference between Bitcoin. Bitcoin is store value. Solana is not. In terms of store values, there's only one true store value, and that's Bitcoin. Everything else is a technology company. Everything else is an operating system. It's a base layer. So there's a big difference. Gary Gensler came out and saying it's ETP, not ETF. What's the difference? I don't know. He's just playing with words. ETPs are exchange traded products. So he considers all ETFs, I guess, exchange traded products, but they're ETFs. I think Gary is just, he just doesn't want to admit defeat. If you read the statement from the SEC, it was the most bearish approval you could ever read. And he basically said the only reason why he did it was because Grayscale won a case against the SEC and SEC has nothing else to say. So they're doing it because of that. He didn't say the market was ready. He didn't say he was excited for it. He didn't say that it's going to, decrease volatility or whatever else he would normally say that, he would argue that's good for investors. No, he said it like, I had no choice, basically. And it was just so bearish. So you could tell Gary is not a fan. Even though they are out, he's not a fan. And it's just so weird because Gary taught blockchain at MIT before becoming the chair. And he was so bullish about the entire space. He named all the big crypto. Like he was a big Algorand fan, big Ethereum fan. He talked about Cardano and others so much before. And he'd talk about how it would be great for future companies to utilize chains like Algorand. And now he turns around and declares everything a security and doesn't want anything to go. It could be because the puppet masters are pulling the strings. That could be it. I don't know, but he is so bearish about the approval of ETFs. What do you think about holding your crypto in Robinhood crypto wallet? I mean, if you're holding in their non-custodial wallet, which allows you to withdraw, and you have your private key, it's fine. It's better than being on Robinhood platform itself. Pet Brett says Gary will flip in his next job at whatever bank. Yeah, probably. Once he gets his cushy job at BlackRock, he's probably gonna turn pretty bullish again. Pete, you can watch his interviews on YouTube, man. You don't need to attend his class to know what he said. And you're saying it as like you don't believe me. Go watch all the interviews that are on YouTube. Not interviews, the class discussions, the classes that he taught, and the seminars he was at, and the conferences he was at. Did you see Jim Cramer's tweet earlier? No. Should I? Jim Cramer. What was his tweet? This one? Bitcoin ETFs has a key difference from their stock fund counterparts. Top, and this is not an ETF, it's a trust. Number 40 Act protection. Is that what you're talking about? Or this one? Checking with Larry Williams, major top in Bitcoin major. Oh, this one right here. Well, he said it recently. So basically, look at this guy. Pantoshi said, my guy changed his mind 4x this past week when page grew. Basically, inverse Kramer, when it comes to Bitcoin, has been 100% correct. So that means in a week or in a month, we'll come back to this and laugh because Bitcoin will be much higher. Eduardo, as ETFs buy up Coinbase OTC supply, won't Coinbase eventually add buying pressure to the miners and affect the price? Why would Coinbase add buying pressure to the miners? I don't get it. You know, here's how Coinbase operates. They have a reserve for, OTC purposes, and they have a reserve for trading purposes on spot, right? If they run out of OTC, they still have the reserve for their spot. Now, there has been times where they have ran out of spot Bitcoin. I remember that day. There was a few times when Bitcoin on Coinbase was like 2,000 more than what the market price was because they actually ran out. So if that happens, I'm sure they'll make deals with other exchanges to buy them at a fixed rate or something. I don't know. They could have deals with miners to buy them directly OTC too. But I don't know what you mean by effective price. The price of the mining stocks or Bitcoin's price? Gensler's talking about ETF approval now on CNBC. If you're interested, I'll watch it after this, and I'll probably make a clip about it. Crypto Pooper says, the only reason why he's an algo fan is because he was obviously hitting on a lady in his class. I was on the algo team. Maybe. Optimism, Arbitrum are both still doing well. Blur still doing well. Let's see. Myro is still doing well. Still trending upwards. Let's check CNBC right now. Oh, man. Citigroup is cutting 10% of its workforce. The banks, not doing that well. Not doing that well. No one's shedding a tear for the banks, though. Mathematically, any capped supply asset can be a store value. Bitcoin status is perception driven. Only 1% of any coin is the same. That's not true. That's not true at all. I mean, well, you can always make a case. Okay, there's only limited amount of rocks on the planet. It's also set supply, right? But there's so many of them, and if there's no demand, of course, it's not a store of value. You can say the same thing about air. You know, breathable air. There's only so much of it on the planet. So is that a store of value? I mean, a lot of these projects, they may say they have a set supply, but there's so much of it, there's infinite amount of it, basically, that they're not store values. They're not true store values. Nor do people see them as store values. Nor do people treat them as store values. So I guess if you're going by textbook definition, I guess a lot of things could be store values, but in reality, they're not. What's the best way to learn about crypto from the beginning and research new coins? Just start researching individual coins that you like. Just research whatever that's not Bitcoin, and then just understand it, and then research another one, and just go from there. There's no true way to like understand all of them, but once you know a few, then you realize a lot of them are similar. Shady Luke, I think you talked about it, but thoughts on ADA. I'm into other projects, but own some ADA. Thinking about swapping for Morsel. I don't really have any thoughts on Cardano. I mean, Cardano's Cardano. It'll just move when it wants to. It's always slower than others. It's always been like that, but it's at number 8. They're still upgrading. There's not, I mean, their NFT volume's decent, you know, and they have SNEC on there, but outside of that, I don't know. They're just Cardano. Opinion on stacks. I'm a big fan of stacks because of Bitcoin. I'm a big fan of Bitcoin. That's why I'm a big fan of stacks. Stacks allow dApps to come on board of Bitcoin, and there's so many new ones that are coming out every single day, and a lot of them look very promising, and it's all because of stacks that makes it possible. A better example would be diamonds. There are so many of them, but because supply is controlled, so is the price. Okay. Sure, you win. I don't even know your argument. So your argument is everything is a store value. Gary is salty. Keep BTC down at this point. It's like walking down a ascending escalator. Bitcoin will continue to be sucked off the exchanges till it's gone. The OTC market will dry up. That's right. You know, I've talked about the OTC market for years. People have always complained about OTC market. Like, George, if there's an OTC market and these big boys are always buying OTC, then how is Bitcoin's price ever going to go up, right? I mean, you got to figure, Bitcoin has a set supply. So OTC must have a set supply, right? It's not like Coinbase can mint more Bitcoin to sell. It's not like stocks. You can always issue more stocks. It's not like anything else or bonds or you know, you can't just issue more Bitcoin. So eventually the OTC markets will dry up. Eventually, BlackRock and these guys go to Coinbase, and Coinbase go like, sorry, I don't have any more to sell you. Like, that's it. There's no more. Realize when that happens, when these big boys are trying to buy, they're like, okay, then what do we do now? Okay, let's try some other exchange. If they say no, you try the miners and they say no, well, then you have no choice. Then you have to buy it on spot. And that's when Bitcoin's price will skyrocket. And at that point, it's probably so much higher anyways, right? Eventually, OTC market will dry up. What about Atom? I like Atom. I like, you know, to be honest, I like the L1s and Atom better than Atom. Atom is just so inflationary. So, you know, I like, Atom is at 4 billion, okay? But I like Injective better, in which Injective is probably going to surpass them. I like Injective a lot. I like Celestia a lot. They, you know, they're both great moving. Say is moving a lot. And then now you got some others, Akash, Osmosis. I mean, these are all L1s out of Cosmos that are just all gaining strength. Kava's out of Cosmos too. I think there was another one. There was another one that someone showed me. Gujira is another one. What about Polkadot? Polkadot's just hanging around, in my opinion. Even though hanging around at number 11, they're one of the big caps. Once you get up here, guys, like once you get to the top, let's just say top 15, you're pretty much going to just sit up there. The only way you can make the top 15 is you have to have a great community, a great developer base. You have a huge treasury. You have great leaders. You know, all the essentials to make a good project and make it sustain and keep people interested, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be in the top 15. So Polkadot has all those qualities. Even though Gavin Wood stepped down as CEO, right? I think he stepped down as CEO, and then he went. He just took some other position. He's still in Polkadot, but still. And Gavin Wood was one of the original founders of Ethereum. So, and the technology is promising. They're like a L0. There's parachains, right? Even though it's only capped to 150 or something. I don't hear much about the parachains doing well, other than the EVM ones like Moonbeam, for example. But the other ones, I don't hear about. So that's why I'm neutral on Polkadot, because I don't see any of the other parachains do well. Not like Cosmos stuff. Cosmos chains all do well, it seems like, but Polkadot do not. I don't know. It could be because Cosmos, there's some kind of foundation in Cosmos that maybe they're investing into themselves or something. I don't know. Alan, less than 1 million people will ever go down. No, less than 1 million people will ever own one Bitcoin. And I am one of them. Suck it, peasants. That's true. Every millionaire on the planet, if they decided, okay, let's go buy a Bitcoin, they couldn't do it. There's not enough Bitcoin to go around for every millionaire on the planet. So think about that. And we already have billionaires buying tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions. Seems like every single week or month, right? So think about when we get true FOMO. At some point in the future, all the millionaires out there will say, man, I need some Bitcoin in my portfolio. And at that point, they're adding $500,000, $1 million Bitcoin. and they're just putting a small fractional piece into their portfolio, while most of you guys will have whole Bitcoins. You will be in the upper 1%. Actually, you'll be higher than that. You'll be in the 0.1%. So that's reality. I honestly believe that. Bitcoin changes the game. The people that know about it and the people that are in it are building not only life-changing wealth, but generational wealth. So this will propel you way above others in the future. I believe that. I believe that. All right, guys. Happy Friday. To conclude, today is the second day of Bitcoin spot ETF trading. We got a little weakness with Bitcoin, taking a little profits. That's okay. We know that Bitcoin is going to go a lot higher. The banks are struggling today, which makes me happy, but the banks will continue to struggle over time because you have decentralized finance and store values like Bitcoin that's eating at them away slowly over time. But Bitcoin is the answer. And we got so many good things happening this year. So don't be discouraged. Think about the gains that are coming and take advantage and continue to hodl and DCA while things are cheap. All right? So smash it a like, subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys. Today's Friday, right? Today's Friday. I will see you guys tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, right? Tomorrow's 10:30 Central Standard Time. All right. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.